Why won't CBCS just change the freaking labels? Well, hit the like button while the intro plays and let's talk about it. So as I'm diving into the world of CBCS, becoming my grader of choice, I keep hearing constantly that they grade more accurately, they're better cases, they're superior in this way, superior in that way. The one thing I also constantly hear is if only they would change the label, if only they would just create custom labels, if only they could just make their label look exactly like CGC's, I would switch to them. And to be fair and to be honest, I do prefer CGC labels look a little bit better. And the more I've thought about this, and the more I've thought about this, and the more I've done videos on it and read comments and seen interactions, it's starting to change my mindset a little bit about this. Am I buying a comic book or am I buying a label? Am I paying for a grade or am I paying for a label? Am I paying for a way to protect my comic book or am I paying for a label? Now, granted, the label's important. The look of these are important. I buy these things to protect books, to get an accurate grade, to make sure they're safe, to maintain condition. But I do like to display these. I don't display them much right now. I do have a few back here, but I do love that look of having them up on the wall, right? I had that for some time in my previous setup. And the more I thought about this, I'm like, why is it people are so held up on this label? And myself included, right? For the longest time, I had an issue with the case. They fixed the case. And to be very candid with you guys, I do believe this is the superior case. It is a clearer case. There's no movement. It doesn't bend. It's well protected. And based on the Comics with Bueller interview that they did with Steve, there's no need to ever re-slab or reholder these. Unlike with the CGC, where he's saying that it's about an 8 to 10 year lifespan before they have to reholder it. And I'll leave a link down in the description if you want to watch that video for very specific reasons there. And so the more I thought about it, I was like, why doesn't CBCS just change their labels, right? I even said it in my last video about this, I believe. Just do what the market wants, make your money, go for it. And my mind shifted a little bit. We had somebody who commented on the video, Stephen Morton, and he said, basically, in this interview with Comics with Bueller, which I hadn't watched until this point, that Steve doesn't want to be CGC. It's his own company, and the reason for doing this is because the book is what should be showcased here. The book is what we should be showing off. He doesn't want the label interfering or being the spotlight, right? Now, we all know this is like when you think of a classic comic book, this is kind of what you think. The white logo, the hologram there, the blue label. And he did talk about the colors and things like that, but that's not what I'm kind of sticking on. It's people's hold up with essentially a lack of a white box. If you really compare these two, there's not a whole lot different. They're both blue, okay? They both have holograms. One's a little bit more gaudier than the other. I do like the CBCS hologram, but the grade pops a little more with that white box, right? And there's some small things like the label. CGC has, kind of a transparent label behind all the information and stuff. With CBCS, they just basically don't have a white box. So you guys are, and again, I'm guilty of it too. We're basically saying that CGC is going to be the grader of choice, or what's going to prevent you from going from possibly a better case, a faster turnaround time, a more affordable service, strictly because of a white box. And, that really had me thinking and wanting to kind of open up discussion a little bit. Why is it we hold ourselves or we think that because of the label, that's what makes CGC superior. In every video I've done, in every post we put on Instagram, it was, if they would just change their label, I would switch 100%, until CBCS fixes that label and quits looking so generic. That's how they're going to be treated. And that blows my mind, because in my experience, it's been more affordable, it's been faster, the grading has been a little bit better, and that's kind of the sentiment with a lot of people. Now, there's going to be some CBCS diehards, there are going to be some CGC diehards that you're never going to, just like anything, you're never going to convince one way or another. But it just, why is it we let one white box have us interfere? I mean, listen, it's shaking. I've heard horror stories about how these things have come loose in shipping, stuff like that. I mean, there's no shake, there's no Newton rings, there's none of that in these cases. I've heard nothing but positive things about CBCS grading fairly and accurately. Heck, Steve came from CGC. I mean, I would think it's a trusted, reliable source, and in my mind it is. But every single time it's label, white. Where's that white box? Basically is what we're looking for. The backs are very similar, almost identical. Heck, CBCS even gives you free grader's notes. But again, our focus is on the label. So why is it we let, again, basically a white box keep us from using another company? Now, is there an actual other reason? I know we've talked about price values and resale values and things like that, but like legitimately the point of this video is to sit back and even for myself and go, man, the label is this way on purpose. It's not a cheap label. It's a very nice label. It just done purposefully to not pull away from the book. And again, if you listen to that Comics with Bueller interview with Steve over there, he talks about why he does it, why he prefers it. It's definitely a paradigm shift, right? Of assuming that this is the way they all have to be because this is the way CGC has done it. And granted, CGC is always, they started earlier. They've been the market leader for so long, but that's slowly slipping away. The way they're handling a lot of things hasn't been the greatest in my opinion. Now, there are a lot of people like Skeff's Comic Knowledge who have submitted 500 plus books and I had a single issue. And that's fantastic. We've also seen a lot of people that they've not even gotten the right book back. They've gotten you want to talk about labels, they've gotten the right label back, wrong book. So, guys, I think maybe you're never going to use CBCS. Maybe you're always going to be a CGC diehard. Maybe the one reason, and I've gotten a ton of those comments, label. That's the only reason I'm not using CBCS consistently. Guys, I think we should step back because I'm telling you, this label, I wish I would have pulled out a better book than this one, but this label really doesn't look bad. When you look at it, you don't go straight to the label. You go to the book and think really at the core of it is, why do we collect comic books? Are we collecting comic books or are we collecting these labels? And to be fair, a lot of people could say, I'm just collecting that 9.8 label up there and I want that to look good. I want my 9.8 to pop because it's a 9.8, baby. I want to show that off. And if that's the case, that's great. But if you're collecting a comic book and you for that reason and you want to show it off, you want it to look good, you know what? I say CBCS labels just fine. They do it purposefully. It's not a cheap or generic looking label in my opinion. I think my biggest holdup was the cases for so long. Those felt cheap. These new ones, they're not. No Newton rings, and it's a sturdy case. Free grader notes. Those three things are the biggest deal in the world to me. If I'm going to pay to get your opinion done on basically a book, I want to know why your opinion was what it was. But not to go into too broad of a topic, this is all about the label. Are you buying comic books or are you buying labels? This has been a topic that I'm pretty sure a lot of people are divided on, labels. CGC looks better in my opinion, but I understand what CBCS is doing, and I do actually think it looks really good. And I think it's just going to be that paradigm shift of saying maybe grading labels don't actually have to have a white box beside the grade. But that's it, guys. Let me know what you think. Drop a comment. These videos have been really, really good. I've enjoyed reading a lot of the comments and kind of interacting, and I think these conversations are so good. I mean, Stephen Morton, huge shout out to him. His comments have been great, and a lot of your others have been too. Guys, you're the best part of Tuberless Comics, and as always, collect your way.